Republican leaders are treating the Epstein documents like a stage performance, but the problem they face is that they can't keep the script straight. Former President Trump often shifts his story, changes details, and tries to redirect the conversation, which makes it nearly impossible for his party to stay consistent. That confusion became especially clear when Speaker Mike Johnson was caught on camera making a statement that raised serious questions and added fuel to the controversy surrounding these files. We'll break it all down. But first, if you find this content helpful, don't forget to give the video a like, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. Before we show you that clip of Speaker Johnson, let's start with comments from Congressman Thomas Massie, who spoke about the pressure campaign reportedly coming from the White House.
On the discharge petition, do you think you'll get the number of signatures you need?
I think we'll eventually get there. What people are waking up and discovering right now is the folks who stayed up all night to go through the 34,000 individual pages have found that they're so redacted as to be useless, and that many of them were already available.
Do you think this oversight tactic is releasing these documents? I mean, how do you actually read it? Clearly they're pushing for more transparency, but it seems like it's not enough for you.
Well, I appreciate the effort that they've undertaken, but the scope of their investigation is to investigate the investigators. Like, they don't ever intend to have any criminal referrals. There may be some notations from the Oversight Committee when this is done that, oh, this FBI person didn't check this box, or this person acted unethically, or this person got too light of a sentence, but they're not going in and trying to identify who these perpetrators were of these heinous sexual abuse crimes.
I wanted to ask which Republicans you think will end up signing onto your discharge petition.
Well, I made the mistake of getting 12 co-sponsors, and so the White House knew who to target, so I'm not going to name anybody who's thinking about joining.
But you're confident you'll get the signatures?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's a strong effort from the White House. They're literally calling it a hostile act to sign this discharge petition now, and I don't know if that's precedented in this country to have a president call legislators to say that they're engaged in a hostile act, particularly when the so-called hostile act is trying to get justice for people who've been victims of sex crimes.
It's important to highlight what Congressman Thomas Massie pointed out regarding the documents released by the Oversight Committee. Much of what was shared was repetitive, material we've already seen before, presented in a way that carefully limits the information. What's being released are highly redacted files, showing only what certain political figures want the public to see while protecting others from scrutiny. In fact, a video even surfaced of a senior DOJ official acknowledging that Republican names would be removed. That's the type of selective disclosure we're witnessing right now. What makes this so significant is that both Thomas Massie and Congressman Ro Khanna, along with many House Democrats, are calling for the full set of Epstein-related files to be made public. If former President Trump claims that everything has already been released, then why resist Congress making those same files available again? The only logical conclusion is that there's more information still hidden, information consistent with what survivors have been courageously sharing. And that's exactly why Speaker Mike Johnson's recent comments have shaken Trump's narrative so dramatically.
Survivors actually, if you listen, as I know you did, but if others listen to their statements, they were basically pleading with Donald Trump. They were not saying, they were not attacking him. They were not criticizing him. So one person said, I'm a Republican. They said, Mr. President, previous presidents haven't released this. Will you please just find some humanity and release these? We're asking you as the president of the nation to do right. And for him to not even listen to them, for him to just say it's a hoax, it's a hoax, it's a hoax. I mean, it was so disrespectful that Thomas Massie called him out on it. So disrespectful that Marjorie Taylor Greene said to the president he should at least meet these survivors, because to call it a hoax is to to dehumanize their testimony when they're there crying and reliving a trauma that they faced when they were 13 or 14. And there is no person who would hear them, see how emotional they were, and wouldn't believe every word of what they were talking about in terms of their experience.
At this point, the situation goes far beyond politics. Survivors are asking for one thing: transparency. They want the full files released, and they want justice. Yet former President Trump continues to dismiss everything connected to Epstein as a so-called hoax. But that narrative is hard to maintain when Epstein was a real individual, convicted of real crimes, with evidence and court records that can't be denied. What makes it even more troubling is that figures connected to Trump's administration were linked to decisions that helped shield Epstein in the past. Still, Trump insists it's all fake, refuses to acknowledge it, and shows no willingness to address the victims directly. That stance is in direct conflict with what Speaker Mike Johnson recently admitted while trying to defend him, an admission that may have backfired.
I'm not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
If the claim is that Donald Trump acted as an FBI informant and provided information about Jeffrey Epstein, that alone would undermine his argument that this is all just a hoax. After all, if he truly reported anything, it would mean he took the matter seriously. But that version of events doesn't match the reality of why the Trump-Epstein relationship actually ended. More importantly, it would also confirm that Trump's name does in fact appear in the Epstein files. From what's been released so far, we know these files contain details about Epstein, his associates, and accounts from those who reported abuse. Survivors have said repeatedly that they brought Trump's name up in conversations with investigators. We also know, based on private remarks reported by Pam Bondi, that Trump's name is indeed in the files. Even if it isn't publicly acknowledged, what Speaker Mike Johnson seemed to suggest is that Trump's name appears because he supposedly played the role of a whistleblower. But that framing doesn't hold up. It comes across less as a defense and more as an unintentional admission. While Johnson may have been trying to portray Trump in a positive light, the effect was to confirm his involvement in the records, and that directly contradicts Trump's ongoing insistence that everything related to Epstein is fake.
All run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein whatever. I understand.
How can Donald Trump continue to dismiss the Epstein files as a hoax while at the same time refusing to meet with survivors or allow Republicans to hear directly from them? He's pushing his party to stay in line and block further releases of information. Yet now, we also hear claims that he was supposedly an FBI informant. And here's the problem. If Trump really played the role of helping to bring Epstein down, wouldn't that be something they'd want to make public? Wouldn't that cast him in a positive light? The fact that they're fighting so hard to keep these files hidden tells us the opposite. That his presence in those documents does not reflect well on him. Speaker Mike Johnson has essentially admitted that Trump's name is in the Epstein files. But the spin he's trying to sell is that if Trump's name shows up, it's only because he was bravely helping investigators. That's a narrative we've never heard before, and it doesn't add up. What we do know is that Trump does not want these records released, but survivors, advocates, and leaders like Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett are continuing to push for full transparency. And we're going to keep calling it out too.
And first of all, let me just say that we are standing before you. We're having this conversation because of the oversight Democratic leadership. And so I want to reiterate that it's the Democratic leadership on oversight that has truly been able to move this forward. I'm sure many of you don't recall, but we were sent home early to try to avoid being able to take a vote on something like getting these files. We are about doing real transparency. We don't care who's in the files. We are going after you. So if I had to sum up what happened today, we heard the stories of victims, and honestly, we heard the story of at least one person that has never come forward before today. This was the very first time that she was telling anyone in a semi-public way her story. And if I had to summarize the theme, I would say that their theme was to do something. It is probably the theme of the American people in general right now when it comes to government, is that they want us to do something. So yes, we had the roundtable, but they actually want to see some action. The fact that this started off in the 90s, and we had someone who could talk about what happened to them in the 90s, but then you go down the line and you've got somebody that's telling us their story from 2008. These failures led to years and years of abuse that did not have to take place. And so the reality is this. Some think that this is all over, and some think that nothing else is going on. But if there was ever a RICO case, it would have been the Epstein case. So how we went from something that should have been RICO because of how sophisticated of a system this was, and this wasn't just one little sick old man that was doing stuff, but there were so many layers, whether we're talking about the banks that were involved, whether we're talking about those that worked for him, that helped him, whether we're talking about the monster known as Maxwell, and that's exactly how y'all need to refer to her. She is a monster. She is not a victim. So let me tell you, I want some action items to come out of this, because for once we somewhat look like we're bipartisan in the Oversight Committee.
It's outrageous that this administration believes it can pressure Republicans into silence and control the narrative around these files. That's not going to work. We're going to keep raising awareness, keep demanding transparency, and keep putting the pressure on. If you want to support this effort, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments so we know you're with us. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, I will see you soon.